Hey, what's up guys? Tony here, and you're watching some more Project Cars. This is the fifth and final race of the Clio Cup, and actually want to go back before I get too far into it. I said in the last video that I wanted to show you race number 4 at Oulton Park, but I didn't have any sound, and so I wanted to talk about pit strategy because it was very relevant to that race. Well, I got to thinking about it, and I've decided that I'm not going to show you that race. This is the fifth and final race at Brands Hatch. And Brands Hatch is a track that I know fairly well from iRacing, but making that switch from say iRacing to Project Cars and Project Cars front-wheel drive as opposed to rear-wheel drive, or I guess I have raced the Kia here once before. But anyways, so I had to make those the adjustments from iRacing to Project Cars, but not really that big of a deal. Pretty comfortable. The AI was really strong this race. Like I mentioned in a previous video, that what I'm doing is I'm going based upon my practice and qualify. So like if I practice and I blow the AI away, I'll turn up the AI. And if I go and I race and I practice or qualify and the AI is just killing me, then I'll dial it back. And because I want to find myself like, honestly, top 5. And this is kind of my experience, is that with the AI is that if I can qualify in the top 5, usually that means that the back 5, so behind me, so 6 through 10, are usually pretty dang quick, and and the AI is, as if you're playing Project Cars, you'll know, is very aggressive. So even though like I'm in the top 5, I could find myself outside of the top 10 just because of aggressive AI driving, or sometimes mistakes that you make. For me, my enjoyment of Project Cars does not come with me blowing the doors off of the field and winning by a minute or 2 minutes. My thrill, my enjoyment of the game comes with me having really close, tight-knit races. And so those are the last couple races of this particular, the Clio Cup. I had those, and it was nice. And like I said, it's just sort of finally tuning from track to track how the AI responds, because my experience with each track varies. So like I think it's like 1 or 2 tracks this season. Oh, so it was Silverstone, and I think it was Snetterton. So the Silverstone version, I didn't really have much experience with, so I dialed back the AI. Snetterton, I definitely dialed back the AI because I'd never even touched the track before. But with Donington, Oulton Park, and Brands Hatch, I turned it up a little bit because I know that those tracks are in iRacing. It's a slight little tangent, but what I wanted to talk about was, I guess, the Clio Cup, my progression, and pit strategy. Pit strategy, I'll touch on pit strategy first, because pit strategy is something that I don't really mess with in Project Cars. I treat it, even though I call it a simcade, I'm treating it very much like an arcade in that regard, where I just want to go in, I just want to race, I don't want to mess with the setup, I don't want to get too involved in it, because it's for me, this is like the beefed up version of at least the racing aspect, not the entirety of Gran Turismo, but this is the beefed up version of the professional racing aspect that I liked about Gran Turismo, and the one thing that I really always hoped that Gran Turismo would have, but they didn't have. And so this is a professional racing experience, and this is the AI and the single player that I was really looking for. And so now that it's here, I really don't have any interest to race online. Just don't really have much of a reason behind it, besides the fact that I want that first player, I want that single player, that campaign experience. I don't know why, I just do right now. I think it's because I get all my online racing with iRacing, so I'm not looking for that, and I guess that's kind of what it is. But so anyway, so I don't mess with the pit strategy at all. I had to, though, for Oulton Park, because the crew, for whatever reason, like in practice the car behaved a certain way and I got used to it. Qualify, the car behaved a certain way, I got used to it. And then the race, they had changed the tires, because it says like automatic dependent upon the weather. So they changed the tires from slicks, which I'd practiced and qualified with, to rain tires. And I was so unprepared for that. I was just like, what the fuck are you guys doing? So I had to go in and edit my setup for the first time, and then I had to edit my pit strategy as well. And so that's the first time I sort of ventured into that. And I don't really have much I can say about the editing of the setup or the pit strategy, just because I really don't really touch it. I don't really bother, because I just don't want to. I just want it to be very simple. Let's go out there, let's throw some laps down, and let's have a good time. I actually use the AI difficulty slider more than I do the setups to sort of reel them into my level if they get too far ahead of me. I'm like, oh no, pull it back. I want to have a close race. I don't want to be in 16th position every time. So I really don't have much to say about that, but it is kind of important just because of the situation where I got into, where before the race I had totally different tires than I had practiced and qualified with. So I was like, what the hell? The car's totally behaving differently. And then there is the pit strategy where I'm making sure that the right tires get on there for the right and the correct weather, because that happened to me as well. I put I put slicks on and in the rain, and that didn't go well at all. And that was at Oldham Park as well. So I actually want to talk about the progression I've had. So this is the 5th and final race. Spoiler alert, I do win the Clio Cup. But anyway, so I won the championship. I think I won 3 out of the 5 races, and so I solidified myself a victory. And then at the end, I got 2 contract offers. So I got one for an open wheel car and one for a GT5 car. And I actually tried both of them out. And what I found is that although I was kind of interested in the open wheel car because I was looking for something else to do, something different besides touring cars, I just was like, nah, I don't think that's really for me. So I did go with the GT5 car. And so for the next series I'm going to do, I'll show you the races from the GT5 race. And so, I mean, there's that. It's not really much to report there, as I'm going to start racing the GT5. And so, so I think what I was going to say is that it's really interesting, that I'm really interested in is the progression, right? So you got the progression from Clio Cup, GT5, GT4, GT3, GT2, GT1. And that, I think that's going to be the path that I run. I doubt that I'm going to make a sudden shift to like open wheel. I think I'm going to progress through the GT classes. But there's something that interesting came up. There was this historic car cup. There was this turbo BMW that I was eligible to race in. And so I raced in the first race of that last night. And I had a lot of fun with that. It was a really interesting experience. The car was really fast. I mean, like when the turbo kicked in, it got pretty crazy. And I'm going to bring you some videos on that. The thing is about that one, the first one, I had a faux pas with my recording software. Action had an update. I updated it, and I always forget. I don't know why. I mean, I know this, but I always forget. But Action, when it updates itself, it like resets all your sound options. So I forgot to reset. And I also got a sound card. That was the other thing that I forgot to mention, is that I bought a Sound Blaster, I think it's a Z or whatever, but sound card. So I actually had an actual sound card now instead of using the onboard sound. And I'll tell you, oh my God, it is such a difference to hear Project Cars through a sound card as opposed to onboard sound. You don't hear any more things like I should say that. Like in iRacing, I did notice a few different things, like a few rumbles and a few smaller audio details that I hadn't heard before. But in Project Cars and everything sort of on the whole, it's just a little bit more bassy, and it just sounds a little bit more fuller, I guess is a word. But so anyways, I had installed the sound card, and so some of my sound settings had changed, and I had forgotten to adjust them also because of the Action. So there was a couple of reasons why I just totally had a brain fart. Lost the audio for that. I'm not going to show you that race. I'll show you the second one. And those races, like that car is so, like the sounds are so good. You know, Project Cars does a really good job with sounds, as I said in a previous video. And so I want you guys to hear that. I'm not going to show you, races without sound. It just doesn't make any sense, especially for, I mean, it's racing. You don't want to watch silent racing. But for a game like Project Cars, man, the sound really makes a difference. So that being said, I'll show you one of those probably in the next week or so. And I want to get on to the GT5 stuff. And that's really all I have to talk about in this video. I just want to touch on my advancement and the pit strategy, like I mentioned, and I'm getting around to putting together the is Project Cars worth it, and sort of how am I finding Project Cars. I think that'll more likely be the next video that I post, because it's definitely due for sort of a not professional sim racer, sort of amateur sim racer kind of guy like myself. So just kind of put my stamp on it and say, okay, here's what I think about it. I think it's this, or this, or maybe I find that it's not worth your money. I don't know. And more than anything, I'm just kind of interested to know how you guys are liking the game. I've seen a lot of people who are really enjoying it, And so it's kind of nice to see. It's very much a nice break, like I was saying, a nice break from, say, like iRacing or you know, just other online aspects. You know, just to be able to find like a nice single player, just to go in and, you know, turn some laps and not really worry about all the aspects of online racing. They have to worry about, you know, other people's feelings and bumping the AI or bumping other cars. I was talking to Jody Moff, or Jody Moffat, so Atomic Moff, the streamer, and we both were saying that it's just kind of fun to punt the to punt the AI. I don't know why. I guess it's because you could just sort of take out some of those iRacing aggressions on the AI. Who knows? So I'm curious to know from you guys, how are you guys enjoying Project Cars? What career path have you chosen? Have you chosen a you know, open wheel sort of a situation? Is that your career path, open wheel, or have you chosen the GT3 path? If you're doing the progression. If not, you know, just, I don't know, just let me know how you guys are liking the game so far, and I guess what sort of series do you think you're going to run again? Are you going to repeat the series you're running, or do you think you're going to pick a different series to run? So, as always, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I shall talk to you guys later.